What's up, guys? So I got another request to do the best budget Huawei phone, so let's go ahead and get started. So one of the first is the Huawei Y9 Prime. So this was a excellent phone, one of my favorites from this year, coming in at $223. A pretty good price point for what you're getting now. It is a plastic design, but it's a pretty big phone, and it has a really nice weight to it, so very premium feeling, so I wouldn't worry about it feeling cheap. Now you do have a 6.59 inch IPS display. It's very nice, very color accurate. It is a 1080p display, 391 for the PPI. It's a very sharp and just overall very nice display. Very nice bezels on here, very thin, so I really like the display on here. So you have Android 9 on top of EMUI 9.1, and this will get Android 10. So you do have the Kirin 7 10F processor, which is a kind of like a mid-range low-end chip, so don't expect to do anything too crazy. You can do gaming at medium settings and stuff like that, along with the Mali G51, but you know, it's not going to be the high-end gaming like the Note 8 Pro. You do have micro SD support up to 1 terabyte, 64 gigs of storage, and 4 gigs of RAM. This phone actually shines in the camera department. It has a 16 megapixel wide, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. It only shoots in 1080p, but you also have a really cool motorized pop-up camera, 16 megapixel, that shoots in 1080p. The cameras on here are great. You get nice dynamic range, pretty accurate colors, and it's just overall pretty sharp. So I really like the cameras on here, especially for this $200 price point. They even keep the 3.5mm jack, which is great as well. You are missing NFC on this phone, but you do have a very nice 4000 milliamp battery, which will get you around 7 to 8 hours of battery life, no problem. Next is the P30 Lite, coming in at $264. This is a very awesome phone. It has a very nice elegant design. I really love the design on here as well. You have an IPS display at 6.15 inches, 1080p, 415 for the PPI, so very sharp, nice display. It is an IPS, and gives off some really nice colors. I really enjoyed the display on here. You have minimal bezels on here with the water drop notch, which is my favorite implementation of the notch. You do have Android 9 on top of EMUI 9.1, and of course this will get Android 10. Again, you have the Kirin 710 processor along with the Mali G51, which did fine for gaming and stuff. So if you're a light gamer, you'll do fine with this device. You do have micro SD support up to 1 terabyte. Now you do get more storage with this phone, 128 gigs, 4 gigs of RAM, but this phone has a triple camera setup, a 48 megapixel wide, a 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. So the really awesome thing about this is this takes some very sharp, crystal clear photos. Very nice. The video is only 1080p though, and the selfie camera is also very nice and crisp, 24 megapixel wide, and that shoots in 1080p as well. You also have a 3.5mm jack. You do have NFC on board for mobile payments, and of course you have USB Type-C. The fingerprint scanner is on the back, and you have a 3340 milliamp battery, but you also have fast charging at 18 watts. So I really love the design on this phone, and the cameras, like I said, really shine as well. Next on the list for 300 flat is the Mate 20 Lite. So this is a really awesome phone as well. This one has a very nice premium design, aluminum body. It does have an IPS display at 6.3 inches to 1080p, 409 for the PPI. You do have a notch up top, but you do have slim bezels on here. Now you do have Android 9 with EMUI 9.1. The Kirin 710 processor, as we can see, is a theme with these budget phones. The Mali G51. You also have micro SD up to 256 gigs, 64 gigs of storage, and 4 gigs of RAM. Now you do have a 20 megapixel wide and a 2 megapixel depth sensor, which is going to take some excellent photos. It does shoot in 1080p, and actually a dual 24 megapixel selfie camera and a 2 megapixel depth sensor up front, which is very interesting, that shoots in 1080p. Also a 3.5mm jack. You do have NFC on board. Fingerprint scanner is rear mounted. You do have a 3750 milliamp battery, which is very nice. So you're really paying for the cameras, and the premium design on here is awesome. Next is going to be the Huawei P20 Lite. So if you're into smaller phones, then you're going to want to look at this because it's a very nice phone. So you have a front glass and aluminum frame. You do have a IPS display at 5 5.84 inches, so that's what makes this phone stand out. 1080p, 432 for the PPI, so it's a very nice sharp and crystal clear display. I really love it. You do have a little notch up there, but I didn't really mind it at all. You do have Android 9 and EMUI 9.1, the Kirin 659 processor along with the Mali T830, so it's pretty much a low end to medium gaming chip. So if you're interested in gaming, it's going to be able to play in medium settings and stuff like that. Micro SD support up to 256 gigs, 32 gigs of storage, and 4 gigs of RAM. So you have a 16 megapixel camera and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. Now the cameras on here are actually still really good. It shoots in 1080p as well, and it just takes some great pictures, great dynamic range, great detail, great color accuracy. You also have a selfie camera setup with 16 megapixels, and you have a 24 megapixel wide on the India and Chinese version, 1080p, and also a 3.5 millimeter jack. Now this does have NFC for mobile payments and USB Type-C as well. You have the fingerprint scanner on the back, is very fast. The only thing with this phone is battery life. So you have a 3000 milliamp battery, which will get you through the day, but it's not going to get you a day and a half or anything like that. It kind of dies kind of quick from my experience. 18 watt fast charging as well, so it does charge really fast at least. All right, last for $100, I wanted to include this for people that aren't trying to spend a whole bunch of money, is the Honor Play 8A. So this is a pretty decent phone for $100. I think the design is pretty modern, especially for what you're paying with. It could be worse. You do have an LCD display. It's a 6.09 inch display, 720p, 282, so pretty nice display. You have a little water drop notch, kind of thin bezels except for at the bottom. Do you have Android 9 with EMUI? This has the MediaTek Helio P35, so expect to do kind of low end gaming on here. I wouldn't really rely on this for a gaming phone, but you do have plenty of storage, micro SD up to 1 terabyte, 32 gigs of storage, and 3 gigs of RAM. So you also have a single 13 megapixel camera that's pretty decent for what I've seen, shoots in 1080p, along with a selfie camera that shoots in 8 megapixels, 1080p. So if you're in good lighting, you can get a good photo. 3.5 millimeter jack is still there, and that's pretty much it with this one. It actually still has micro USB, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's only $100, 3020 milliamp battery, but you're paying $100, so you're getting a pretty decent phone, I think. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.